Hi, and welcome to BremSter Puzzles, a channel where we bring you interesting variant Sudoku in order to showcase the wonderful logic that these puzzles can have. And today we've got something a bit different again. So what we have in this puzzle, which is called Ruined by Timotab, is a constraint that has been created probably specifically for this puzzle. So what Timotab has possibly done with this puzzle, and I don't know the full details, is been exploring a piece of logic, and in order to express the logic within the grid has had to come up with a constraint specifically for the puzzle, which is the magic sigils constraint. So you may not have seen magic sigils anywhere else, and you may never see it again. So I don't know if it's going to be used elsewhere, but quite often when you're exploring Sudoku, you will come up with something that you want to play with, and it will make a novel constraint, novel meaning completely new. And that's what I think we have here, something that is possibly unique to this puzzle. Now, that may not be the case. I haven't explored every Sudoku out there to see if this has been used by someone else or anything. Quite often someone will come up with something new and then someone else will do it. It's possible Timotab got this from someone else. I don't think that was detailed, but it's an interesting one that I've never seen before. And I think many of you won't have seen this before either. I don't know if I'll be able to solve it. We'll find that out together. So how does the constraints work? So let's go through the rules. First of all, we've got normal Sudoku rules apply. So in every box, in every row, and in every column, the digits 1 to 9 must be placed without repetition. Then we've got killer cages, which means that the digits that are placed in the cages have to sum to the number in the top left corner of the cage. So we know that those three digits need to sum to 24, those to 23, those to 22, those to 8, those to 7, and those to 6. Normal killer. Then we've got the magic sigils rule. So within each 3x3 box, straight magenta line segments have the same sum. So what that means is this is a straight segment of a magenta line that has, well, the same sum as that magenta line segment, which has the same as that magenta's line segment, which has the same as that magenta's line segment, because these are all within the same box. If we go to this box, it gets a little bit more complicated. That is a straight magenta line segment. This is a straight magenta line segment. That is a straight magenta line segment, and that is a straight magenta line segment. So it would mean that those three cells have the same sum as those two cells, have the same sum as those two cells, have the same sum as those two cells. Little bit weird, but if you treat every straight section of line as an independent line that has to have the same sum as every other part of every other straight segment of line within the same box. Interesting constraint. It's going to be weird to see how this works. I'm going to restart the puzzle to restart my timer. Let's give this a shot. Now, we can immediately do some logic in the killer cages, and that's where I'm going to start before I look at the lines. So we have to put 3 different digits into this to make them 24. The maximum Sudoku digits are 7, 8, 9, which sums to 24, so these have to be 7, 8, and 9. Now I can see I could do more logic here, but I'm going to stay in the killer cages for now. We know that the maximum digits I can put into 3 cells is 7, 8, 9, which is 24. I need to reduce one of those digits by 1 to get the total down to 23. If I reduce the 9 by 1, I end up with 7, 8, 8. I can't duplicate digits. If I remove the 8 by 1, I end up with duplicated digits. So I have to remove the 6 by 1. I don't have, the only reason I can do the same here now is I can't, because there's an 8 and 9 in here, I can't put an 8, 9 here. Because there's an 8, 9 here, I can't put 8, 9 in here. So there must be an 8 and a 9 in here. So this becomes 5, 8, 9. And I think I can do the same down here. The minimum digits are 1, 2, and 3. If these are 1, 2, and 3, I have to increase those digits by one of those digits by 1 to get to 7. The only digit I can increase is 3 to 4. 1 and 2 is in here, so I can't put it here. 1 and 2 is in here, so I can't put it here. 1, 2 must be in the 8 cage, and 1, 2 is 3, and to get to 5, to get to 8, I need to make these 1, 2, 5. The cages are now done. Now I'm completely restricted to the lines, but I can do some logic up here because this line has the same sum as this line, which has the same sum as this line. So how's that going to work? Because we know something about the entire box. The entire box of an entire box of a Sudoku contains all of the digits from 1 to 9. If you add those together, they sum to 45, sometimes called the secret. I like to call it the 45 rule, because if I call it the secret, I get complaints from the fans of another channel. Anyway, so we've got 3 different lines that all have the same sum, and when you add them together, they need to sum to exactly 45. 45 divided by 3 is 15. So each of these lines sums to 15. But this little segment here has to sum to 15. How do we do that between 7, 8, and 9? That's a 7, 8, that's a 9. Because if 7, 9 is 16, 8, 9 is 17, 7, 8 is the only way to make that sum to 15. Now, there is an interesting thing about these being 15, which is this now needs to sum to, these are all different than sum to 15, which means that there has to be a low and a high digit on all of them. Because if I was to put 2 low digits on here, low being 1, 2, 3, low and medium being 4, 5, 6. If I was to put 2 medium digits on here, the lowest they could be would be 4 and 5, and I'd need a 6 up here, which I don't have. If I was to only use low digits, the highest they could be would be 2 and 3, and I'd need a 10 up here. So there's a low and a high in each of those. I'm not sure if that's going to help me yet, but I do know the 6 is down here, and the 5 is up here. 9, 6. 9 and 6 would sum to 15. I can't put the 6 there because 9 and 6 would already sum to 15. So the 6 is in one of those two. What is this going to sum to? This has to sum. Could that sum to 17? No, this can't be 8, 9. If this was 8, 9, what would that line sum to? If this was 8 and 9, this line, they would sum to 17, and this line would also have to sum to 17, but that'd be a 5, so that would have to be a 12. There must be a 5 on that line. Now, this has to be 4 or 6, I think. Because if this is 5, 8, if this is 5, 8, that sums to 13. That would be a 9. And to get to 13, that would have to be a 4. If this is 5, 9, this would be 14, this would be an 8, and that would have to be a 6. And that can't be a 6. That's the 4, which means this has to be 5, 9 to get to 13. So this has to be 5, 8 to get to 13. So this could be 4, 9. That's incredibly clever. So this is 5, 8. Because now this has the same sum as this. But now, how am I going to make this work? Because if this is 8, 4, that could be a 1. But if this is 5, 4, this can't be a 5. If this was 5, 4, they would be 9, and that would need to be another 4. It doesn't work. That is an 8. That is the 5. 8 and 4. Remember, the total in this box now is 13. 8 and 4 is 12. That's a 1. These need to sum to 13. This is really clever. These need to sum to 13. Well, I can't use 9, 4. I can't use 8, 5. I can use 6, 7. This has to be 6, 7. And the 6, 8, 9 makes that the 7 and that the 6. And these are a 2, 3 pair. Very clever. So in here, can I do a similar trick on this? I probably have to, but I don't. The trick is going to be untangling these lines. I had this little line to kick it off in this box. I don't have a similar thing here. So the sum of those two digits, because this digit is going to be the same, is the same as the sum of that digit. Because this plus this is the same as those plus this, which is the same as those. I'm going to change colors here. Let's make this a... Actually, I'm going to get rid of these. We know those sum to 15. I'm going to get rid of that coloring. Those have the same, which have the same sum as those. So what can this be? It can't... So all of the possible digits are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 7. Now, it can't be 1 because it's the sum of two digits. Now, Well, the minimum these could sum to is 10 because there's 4 different digits in the box and it's twice this. So it can't be 1, 2, 3 or 4. This is 5 or 7. If this is 5, these are 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 down here with 4 up here. And if this is, oh, this can't be a 7. This is a 5 because of the 7, 8, 9. This is a 5. So these are 1, 2, 3, 4. There's no 1 up here. And because these have to sum to 5, the no 1 up here means the 4 has to, the 1 is down here, has to be opposite of 4. So the 1 down here puts a 4 up here because it's 1 plus, yeah, the 4 must be up there. So there's no 4 down here. And that's a 2, 3, 4 triple. Of course it is. I could have got it that way. But this is now the 7. And now 4 is down here. So 4 and 6 are down here. That's another really clever one, isn't it? That's incredibly clever. So there's no 1 here. So that's a 2, 3 pair. Can I do more in box 1? These need to sum to 6. Well, it can't be, this can't be a 5 anymore, because if this is a 5, this would have to be a 1, but there's a 1 in there, the same way as there's a 4 in there. So this can't be a 5. So 5 is in one of those two, and 6 is in one of those two. And I need to have a medium digit on this line. I can't put 6 there because this would have to be a 0. I can't put 5 there. This would, 5 here. This would need to be a 1. And I can't put 5. Yeah. Where's the middle digit on this? I need a middle digit because I can't use a high digit and I can't use 2 lows. So no 5 possible. I can't put 5 in either of them because 5, 1 doesn't work and 5 can't see it. 6 isn't possible. I can't put 6 here, and 6 here means this has to be a 0. I need to put a 4 in one of them and it must be there. 9 and 4 is 13. That's a 2, which makes that a 3 and that a 2. The 3 looks down, making that the 2, and I can take the 2 out of those. There's no 4 in these. So there must be a 2 or a 3 in here. No, there must be a 3 in here. So these are 1, 2, 3, and 6, but I can't use a 2. These are 1, 3, and 6, and they're not 1. This is just a 3, 6 pair. So, I'm sorry, let's look at the row again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So these are 1, 2, 3, and 6. But they can't be 1 because the 1 is over here, and they can't be 2 because the 2 is here. This is a 3, 6 pair. So there's no 3 here. And remember, these have to sum to 5. This is a 1, 2. There's no 2 up here. This is 3 and 4. So these are 1 and 5. So how does this work for those? 8 would need another 7, which would have to be 1, 6. So it's going to go 8, 1, 6, and 7, 5, 3. 8, 1, 6, and 7, 5, 3. Very clever. Okay, where do I look now? Those 2 digits have the same sum as those 2 digits. Can I do anything with that? Hang on. 8, 8, 1, 6. Because 8 needs another 7. It has to be 1, 6. And then 7 needs 8, which would be 3, 5. Oh, there's no 2 here. Three has to be in one of those cells. Yeah, I could do a little more with Sudoku. 4 is in one of those 2 cells. 4 is in one of those 2 cells. There's a 4 on this line by Sudoku. Can't put 4 in the 8 cage. Can't put 4 in those because of the 7. And there's a 4 looking down. So there is a 4 on this line. So this line is 7, but it can't be 7. So I can't put a 3 on this line. Well, I couldn't anyway. So what could this be? 4, 6, 4, 7, 4, 8, or 4, 9. Well, the 9 is in here somewhere. I can't put the 9 there, can I? No, there's no way I can put the 9 there. And I can't make this 4, 9, surely. Maybe I can. 3 is in one of those. So this can't be 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. This is 6, 7, or 8, because it sees 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is 6, 7, or 8. It sees 9. So this has been pushed up. But this has a maximum of 13. So these lines have a maximum of 13. So if this is an 8, this has a maximum of 5. But then this would have to be 9, 3. If this is 8, if this is 8, well, this couldn't be 7, 4. That only gets me to 11. And then I can't keep this down to 11 and keep that down to 11, can I? Maybe it's a math problem. It's probably a math problem. Similarly here. This is definitely my weakness. That cell, let's use a darker blue, has the same sum as those two because it shares those and those. What's the minimum there? Minimum. That cell has the same sum as those two, but the minimum here, get the bug. Can I get the bug? No, I can't get the bug. It's going to bug me. That's what bugs are for. What's the minimum? This cell has the same sum as those two. Because whatever that is, plus that is the same as that plus those. But the minimum I can put into those is 4 and 5. This has to be 4 and 5, and that can't be the 4. That's the 5, that's the 4, that's a 9. Which is brilliant. Now, whatever that is, those two have the same sum as that, but they had to be 4, 5. That's not the 4 anymore. These are 6, 7, and 8. But we don't know the sum yet, but we could probably figure that out. I'm going to get rid of this colouring. This is the box I should have looked at next. This is either 10, and it can't be 10. If this was a 1, this would sum to 10, and these would have to be 2 5s. This is a 3, and these sum to 12. That's a 1. So this has to sum to 12, which is 5 plus 7. There's no 7 in there. Brilliant. These are now triples, which I'm going to put in. 4, 5, and 7. 3, 6, and 8. 1, 2, and 9. So they're the triples in here. Now, I'm moving on from that because where is 9 in this box? This 9 is looking down, that 9 is looking across, and I can't put 9 in an 8 cage. This is a 4-9 pair, which means these lines have to sum to 13. That sum is the sum of those two cells. So whatever I put into, I'm going to use the same colours as up here, but whatever goes into that cell has to be the sum of those. If this is a 4, this is 3 and 1. And that, if this is a 4, that's 3 and 1. And then these would have to sum to 10, which I could do with 8 and 2. These 3, 6, 8, and 9, and must contain a 9. Yeah, I'm not sure. These are 3, 6, 7, and 8. So there must be a 7 in there. No. Yes, we're 7 in this row. This can't be a 7. This is 6 or 8 only. There must be a 7 in there. This is only 6 or 8. So this has to sum to 13. If this is an 8, this is 1, 3. If this is a 6, these have to sum to 7. That can never be a 7. Because if that's a 7, those two already sum to 13. That is not a 7. 7 is in one of those two. So there's never a 7 on that line. That digit is the sum of those two. But I think I could still do 3, 1 with 4. Not sure, you know. Can I do something here? So this is the central cell in this box. This cell here, I'm actually going to mark it in grey. This cell here has the same sum as those two cells. Let's use, I'm running out of colours that I like. Light green, and those, let's use dark blue. So dark blue has the same sum as light green, has the same sum as red. 7 is in one of those two cells. These are 5, 6, 7, and 8. So this is from 5, 6, or 8 only, because it can't be 7. But that's not going to help on the line, because I just know that those two have the same sum as those two. Yeah, I'm a little lost. Is it the 13 here? How do I make this sum to 13? If that's a 6, those would have to sum to 7. That's a 6. These have to be 2, 5. But if this is a 6, these would have to sum to 7 to get to 13. And these would have to be 2, 5, because I couldn't use 1, 6. They'd have to be 2, 5, and that doesn't work. That's an 8. And these have to sum to 13. So these have to sum to 5. There's no 5 there. Sorry, I got that backwards. If this is a 6, they have to, if these are a 6, these have to sum to 7. And I couldn't do 1, 6, yeah, and I couldn't use 2, 5. This is an 8. These need to sum to 5 to get to 13. So this can't be a 5. It's either 1, 4 or 2, 3. So that's 4 or 3, and it can't be 4. That's 3, that's 2. There's no 2 there. That's really cool. And this digit is the sum of those two. And this can't be 3, 6 because of the 8 cage. So this has to be 3, 1, 4, 9, 5. There's no 3 here. This is actually a 6, 7 pair. That is clever. The 6, 7 looks across, making that the 8 and that 6. There's no 6 in those. This is 3, 8, 9. There's no 8 here. This is 5, 6, 7. Ooh, this is clever. There's no 5 here. Now, can I do something in here? Because these are 3, 5, 6, and 7. And they must contain 3 and 5. So these sum to 8 plus 6 or 7. So these digits here which sum to either 8 plus 6, which is 14, or 8 plus 7, which is 15, are the same as those two here. And they're either 14 or 15. If this was a 3, this would have to be 11 or 12. This can't be a 3. Now, it could be 5, 9, couldn't it? hang on, 5 is looking up. This is the 1, this is the 5. These need to sum to 14. I'd already figured this out. Oh, the 3 makes that the 6. 1 and 6 is 7, so that's the 8, that's the 7, that's the 3. 15, 15. Great. The 7 is looking down, making that the 6 and that the 7. This is a triple now. 2, 7, and 9. Now, this has to sum to at least 14. So that's a 9. Because if it was 2, maximum is 9, which is not the 14 I'm aiming for. If it's 7, the maximum I could get is 7 and 6, which is 13, but the minimum this is 3, 5, 6, which is 14. That can't be a 7. That's the 9. But this is 2, 7, 9. Oh, the 7 is looking up. There's no 7 here. This is 3, 5, 6. I know the sum of the box. This is 14. So this is 14, which is 9 and 5. And now this line is 14. But I know this triple. 1, 4, 8. 9 and 5 looks across, taking 5 out of there and 9 out of there. How do I make this work to get to 14? If this is 1, these need to sum to 13, which I could do with 6 and 7. If this is 8, these would need to sum... If this is 8, those would need to sum to 6, which I can't do. So this can't be an 8. If this is 4, these need to sum to 10, which I could do with 7, 3. If this is a 1, this must be a 7. If this is a 4, these need to sum to 10. I can't do 2, 8, so it'd be 7, 3. If this is a 1, these need to sum to 13, which is 7, 6. That's always 7. Just take 7 out of there. This is so clever. I'm now very worried about this box. Those two have the same sum as those two have the same sum as that digit. Every time I've thought, there's no way through this, I found something. I need to find the next thing. Is it here? Is it the fact that that digit is the same sum as those two? Yes, it is, because this digit is shared on both lines. So these can't sum to 3. There's no way that works. So the minimum here is 7. With 3 and 4. So this has to be an 8 because this digit is on both lines, which means there's no 8 in those. But these digits now have to sum to 8. 3, 5 works, but I can't do 6, 2. So this is 3 and 5. It's so clean. This is 6, and this box has had its line resolved. The 5 makes that the 4 and that the 7. The 4 looks across making this the 1, but we know this line is 14. 1, 7 means that's a 6, which means that's a 3. There's no 1 here. There's no 1 in those. This is so clean. But now, where do I look now? 5 is in one of those two. There's no 5 on this line at all. What? The columns seem quite unrestricted, don't they? Okay. This is a quadruple. 2, 3, 5, 9. There's no 5 there. This is 2, 3, or 9. If this is 9, what could that be? Because the sum of those two digits goes there. So if this is 9, this would have to be lower than 9, and this would have to be negative. This is not a 9. So that's a 2 or a 3 only. This is way less restricted. Oh, the 2 looks over saying that's not a 2. This is a 1 or a 9. But this digit, it could be 1, can't be 2, 3, 4, can't be 5, 6, 7, 8. It can't be 9 for the same reason, but it can't be 8 either, because 8 and 2 would mean that this would need to be 10. So it can't be 8. So and it can't be 7. This is 1 or 4. Can I do the same with those? Except these could be 1/8, couldn't they? But if these were 1/8, no, because the maximum these can sum to now is 7. So this is a maximum of 7. So these have to keep down to a maximum of 7. So they're 1 through 6. And there's no 5 on them. That could be an 8 because this could be any digit. It's because it's adding to the total. But where's 7 in this box now? 7 is in one of those two. Could this be 7? It could, you know. If this is 7, no, it can't be 7. If this is 7, this line would have to be 1, 2, 4, and this line would have to be 1, 2, 4. That can't be 7. The only way to make 7 in 3 digits, which we talked about down here, is 1, 2, 4. If this is 7, those 3, no, because it's 7 plus that. Those two would have to sum to 7, and those two would have to sum to 7. I got that wrong. And I could do that with 3, 4, and 1, 6. Okay. Is there something in this column now? There's no 5 on this. What can this be? The minimum it can be, it can't be 3 because then both of these would need to be, oh, it can't be that anyway. So what can these be? By Sudoku, I'm going to put them all in. 1, 4, 7, 8, 9. Now, it can't be 1 because it's the sum of 2 digits. It can't be 4 because these would be 1, 3 and these would also have to be 1, 3. This is 7, 8 or 9 only. 3, well, hang on, but this is a maximum of 7. It has to be a 7. So this is 3 and 4. There's no 7 here. There's no 7 here. This is a 5, 6 pair. That's a 7. These have to sum to 7 now. They're not 3, 4, and I can't do 2, 5. Those are 1, 6. That's the 2. That's the 9. That's the 1. Taking 1 out of here, and the 1, 6, of course, is resolving everything. But this is now done. That is so clever. The 4 is making that the 8 and that the 4. The 8 is looking back saying that's the 9. There's no 3 in here or 9. This is a 2, 5 for the row and for everything. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's an 8 in the middle. Taking 8 out of there, taking 8 out of there. One of those two has to be an 8. So if I put a 4 on this line, I'm broken because it, no, not necessarily. I can't do 8, 4. Hang on. The other, if one of them is an 8, the other one has to be a 9 because I can't do 8 and then a digit even as low as 1 and then do a 3 because the maximum would be 7. This is 8, 9. And this is the 3, and these now have to have a difference of 1 to make the difference of 1 here add with that. So those are 1, 2, and that's the 4. The 9 is making that the 8 and that the 9, and these have to have the same sum. So I can do that with 8, 2, and 9, 1. There's no other way of doing it. The 1 looks up making that the 6 and that the 1. This is now done. The 9 says that's not the 9. The 8 and the 9 make that the 6, which makes that the 9, which makes that the 8. The 3 looks up making that the 4, but remember these needed to sum to 5. So that's the 1, that's the 2, that's the 3. And these are now done. This is such a cool puzzle. Well worth exploring. 6 makes this the 5 and this the 6. The 5 looks up making that the 2 and that the 5. And that's the correct solution to the puzzle. How beautiful was that? 766 solves in 126.1 days. It's possible another channel has covered this one, and I don't care. I really, really liked that one. That was beautiful. Now, this one has been sitting in my queue for a while. because I was actually waiting for someone to test it and no one ever did. So I just decided to do it anyway. It happens sometimes that my testers are busy. That was great. That was really, really good. What a puzzle. What an absolutely stunning puzzle. I'm really interested to see what the feedback is on this one. I'm sure someone will find something to say about my solve that's not necessarily positive, but we'll see how we go. Thank you everyone for watching. I really hope people are liking the way I'm trying to bring the puzzles out now. I had some feedback around the end of last year, and I've been trying to incorporate like a lot of different feedback. So I gathered all the feedback together, and I've been trying to incorporate it I looked at it, I discarded some of it. I tried to figure out how I could incorporate as much of the feedback as I could. And what you've been seeing is the result of that. So yeah, it's led to some other negative feedback. It's interesting. Some of the people who provided feedback saying, you should do this, I started doing it and they don't like it. But I'm pretty happy with the way this is going, and I hope you are too. Thank you everyone for watching. Thank you Timotab for the puzzle. This was a really good one. And as always, good luck with your solving.